The top stories tonight in Y News. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. shares his confidence that the Philippines and Singapore would forge more partnerships. The Armed Forces of the Philippines and the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command recommend the establishment of additional Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement or EDCA sites in the country. A special panel in the Senate tasked to tackle the proposed measures seeking to legislate the country's maritime zones begins its hearing. And find out the impact of the face-to-face meeting between the leaders of North Korea and Russia to international concerns about potential arms deal and cooperation. Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Thursday, September 14, 2023. Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the Philippines and other parts of the world. We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media channels. I am Harleen Delgado. First in the news. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has expressed confidence that the Philippines and Singapore would forge more partnerships given the two nations' strong bilateral ties. The president says he sees a bright future for both countries. Nel Maribuhok reports.
Addressing queries during a roundtable discussion with Singaporean businessmen, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. said the relationship between Singapore and the Philippines started at the people-to-people level, which has been the bedrock of all the other agreements, partnerships, and alliances that have been created. The president said at the very beginning of the relationship with Singapore, the two countries haven't come across any significant issues, diplomatic and political. PBBM believes this is the reason why, at some point, Singapore as the largest source for foreign investment in the Philippines. President Marcos expects that the Philippines' growing ties with Singapore would continue to flourish, citing the bright future awaiting the two countries. Last year, the Philippines' exports to Singapore went up by 16.98% to $4.91 billion from $4.2 billion in 2021. Singapore is also the largest source of foreign direct investments in 2021 with a net of foreign direct investment of $761 million. The chief executive, who is currently in Singapore for a working visit, will return to Manila on Sunday. On Wednesday, September 13, he delivered a keynote address at the 10th Asia Summit hosted by the Milken Institute. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The House Committee on Appropriations retains the same amount of confidential and intelligence funds in the proposed 2024 budget, according to the senior vice chairperson of the panel and Marikina City 2nd District Representative Stella Kimbo. Meanwhile, the plenary debates for the proposed 2024 budget has been formally set. Rosalie Cos will tell us why.
The House Committee on Appropriations has already approved House Bill number 8980 or Fiscal 2024 General Appropriations Bill or GAB, as well as the committee report and schedule of the plenary debates. According to House Committee on Appropriations Senior Vice Chairperson and Marikina City 2nd District Representative Stella Kimbo, there are no changes in the proposed confidential and intelligence funds in the 2024 budget. In the 5.768 trillion pesos proposed national budget for 2024, the government is requesting an amount of 4.86 billion pesos for confidential expenses and 5.27 billion pesos for intelligence.
Yes, everything else remains the same.
ACT Teachers Party List Representative Franz Castro expressed their alarm and dismay because the confidential funds remain intact. Meanwhile, the House panel is giving agencies 2 years instead of just 1.5 years to spend their maintenance and other operating expenses, or MOOE. It has also removed the provision requiring Congress to submit a report to the executive. The plenary debates for the proposed 2024 budget has been formally set and will start on September 19, Tuesday. Representative Castro hoped they will be given sufficient time to interpolate and thoroughly examine the proposed budget. The House of Representatives target to pass the General Appropriations Bill to third and final reading on September 27 before the session adjournment.
Pagdating naman sa plenaryo, ang magsasagutan ay ang members of Congress. So ang mismong sponsor ng ahensya ang sasagot doon sa interpellator. So ang vice chair ng Appropriations Committee ang siyang sponsor ng budget.
In 4 weeks' time from August 10, the House Committee on Appropriations, led by ACO Bicol Party List Representative Sal Dico, deliberated on the proposed budget for each government agency. It terminated the budget deliberations on September 12. Rosa Licoz, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Commission on Elections, or COMELEC Chairman George Erwin Garcia stressed he will put the Malabang town in Lanao del Sur under COMELEC control. Dante Amento tells us why.
The Philippine National Police or PNP leadership revealed they are still evaluating whether to include the municipality of Malabang in Lanao del Sur under areas of concern over the Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan elections or BSKE next month. Based on their initial assessment, the area is allegedly peaceful.
Until at present, we have no final recommendation yet because we have to wait for the findings coming from PCG and the AFP.
But the incident there, kinukonsider niyo bang election-related violence, yung indiscriminate firing of two men?
Yes, because it was done during the filing of the certificate of candidacy and appropriate charges had been filed with the two suspects who surrendered during that incident in Malabang.
But Commission on Elections or COMELEC Chairman George Erwin Garcia stressed his decision to put the area under COMELEC control did not change. On August 31, 2023, an indiscriminate firing or election-related violence incident occurred during the filing of the Certificate of Candidacy or COC. Two heavily armed men fired their high-powered firearms that resulted to fear among the residents and individuals who were supposed to file their COCs.
Hindi nagbabago yung aking paninindigan doon. Kaya lang, siyempre magkaiba kasi yung nature ng pinanggagalingan ng aming assessment. Sila, sa PNP, sila yung nandun talaga sa ground, sila yung in control at in charge of peace and order. So, i-respeto natin yung kanilang sasabihin. Sa part naman ng COMELEC, lalo-lalo na sa part ko, ang aking tinignan kasi doon yung violation ng batas eh.
The two suspects recently surrendered and the COMELEC said they are personnel of the incumbent mayor of Malabang.
Hindi lamang kasi yung dalawang sumuko ang involved doon eh. Meron kasi involved yun, therefore nagkaroon ng politika. So sa aking palagay, bilang isang abogado lang, sa aking palagay dapat ilagay sa COMELEC control yun.
The poll body issued a so-called order to the local chief executive of Malabang for him to explain personally at their law department on September 20, 2023. Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
And for the news abroad, the meeting between North Korean leader Kim Jong Un and Russian leader Vladimir Putin has sparked the United States' attention to express its concern at potential violation of the United Nations Security Council resolutions as the two leaders discussed possible military cooperation. Narisa Dando will give us the details live. Hello, Narisa. Please go ahead.
Good evening, Joselito. The face-to-face meeting between North Korean leader Kim Jong Un and Russia's President Vladimir Putin, held in Russia's spaceport Vostochny Cosmodrome, has raised multiple suspicions of potential arms deal between the two leaders. The leaders began the meeting on Wednesday, September 13, with a tour of the Soyuz 2 space rocket launch facility, followed by a one-on-one meeting. Kim Jong Un traveled to Russia by private train and was warmly received by Putin, along with Pak Tae-song, chairman of North Korea's Space Science and Technology Committee, as well as Navy Admiral Kim Yong-sik. Days before the meeting, the United States has raised its concern of potential breach of the United Nations Security Council resolutions, and the U.S. stated that the meeting was Russia's attempt to purchase weapons from North Korea. Putin stated that military cooperation with North Korea is possible and that he is willing to help North Korea develop satellites. Kim Jong Un, on the other hand, has openly expressed his support to Putin's leadership and its war against Ukraine and believes Russia will win the war. Vladimir Putin is expected to visit North Korea after he accepted Kim Jong Un's invitation. Back to you, Joselito.
Thank you, Nerissa Dandop, reporting live from Japan. Ukrainian missiles have struck Russian naval vessels in Crimea in one of its biggest attacks on Russia's Black Sea Fleet since the start of the war. Olga Chalyan details why live. Yes, Paul, good evening.
Good evening, Joselito. Two Russian naval vessels, a large landing vessel and a submarine, have been seriously damaged after Ukraine allegedly attacked with Western-supplied cruise missiles on Wednesday, September 13 in the Sevastopol port. Ukrainian military intelligence official Andrei Yusov claimed it is highly likely that the vessels are beyond repair. Meanwhile, Russia's defense ministry contradicted this, stating that the vessels would be fully repaired and will return to service. The Black Sea Naval Shipyard was attacked by Ukraine with 10 cruise missiles and 3 uncrewed speedboats in the early hours, with the vessels downing 7 of the incoming missiles, according to Russia's defense ministry. Ukrainian military analyst Vladimir Zablotsky stated that the damaged submarine could carry caliber cruise missiles and estimated that Russia has lost 1 missile launcher for at least several months. Back to you, Joselito.
Thank you, Paul Gachilian, reporting live from New Zealand. We'll share more global stories with you later, but for now, back to you, Harleen.
Thank you, Joselito. For those watching our live streaming on YouTube, please click the subscribe button you see on your screen and ring the bell for notification. You may also follow us on Facebook. Senate Deputy Minority Leader Risa Hontiveros responds to the latest tirade of Vice President and Education Secretary Sara Duterte. This comes after the Vice President in a statement said that she has no respect for Hontiveros and ACT Teachers Party List Representative Franz Castro amid the controversy on the Office of the Vice President's confidential funds. Hontiveros says she is not asking for Duterte's respect, but for accountability for the use of funds. The senator urges the Vice President to explain where will the requested confidential funds be used.
Hindi ko kailangan na ang respeto mo, VP Sara. Ang hinihingi ko sa iyo ng taong bayan ay accountability. I-account nyo na lang kung para saan ang hinihingi nyong confidential funds. Kung hindi mo kayang irespeto ang mga katrabaho mo, irespeto mo man lang sana ang paggasta ng pera ng bayan. Higit 1 linggo na mula nang nag-hearing tungkol sa confidential funds, pero mas marami ka pang patutsada kaysa sa paliwanag.
Based on the recommendation of the Armed Forces of the Philippines Chief of Staff General Romeo Browner Jr. and United States Indo-Pacific Command Commander Admiral John Aquilino, additional enhanced defense cooperation agreement sites in the country are being considered. The aim is to further strengthen the relationship between the Philippines and U.S. Armed Forces. Alan Manansala explains why.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines and the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command are currently pushing for the establishment of additional Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement or EDCA sites in the country. During a meeting with journalist Admiral John Aquilino, the commander of the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command stated that they have recommended to their high-ranking officials, including AFP Chief of Staff General Romeo Browner Jr., the creation of more EDCA sites in addition to the 9 that have already been established or are under construction in the country. However, they need to wait for the response from their superiors before finalizing their plans.
General Bronner and I may make recommendations to our senior leaders for the consideration of additional sites, but there's still work to do.
They emphasize that the number of projects has been significantly increased, with the 9 existing EDCA sites and an additional 63 projects funded by the United States, amounting to $110 million to enhance the capacity for use by the AFP and U.S. Armed Forces. Bronner also mentioned that while the U.S. government is allocating a substantial budget for these projects at EDCA sites, the Philippine government will provide matching funds.
When we talk about EDCA sites, these are actually, as mentioned, these are existing Philippine camps or Philippine bases. We are just opening this up for shared use with our counterpart, with our only ally, the United States, because we believe that doing certain things together would bring more value. For instance, training together. So some of these EDCA sites would be designed specifically for joint training.
Before the meeting, officials visited EDCA sites at Lalo Airport, Naval Base, Camilo Ocias in Cagayan, and Basa Air Base in Pampanga. In 2014, the Philippines and the United States signed the EDCA, granting us troops access to established facilities and preposition equipment, aircraft, and maritime vessels. In February, the Philippines and the United States agreed to designate 4 new strategic locations for EDCA in order to expedite the full implementation of the agreement. These locations include Naval Base Camilo Ocias in Santa Ana, Cagayan, Lalo Airport in Lalo, Cagayan, Camp Melchor de la Cruz in Gamo, Isabela, and Balabac Island in Palawan. Prior to these, there were already 5 existing EDCA locations: Tonio Bautista Air Base in Palawan, Basa Air Base in Pampanga, Fort Magsaysay and Nueva Ecija, Mactan Benito Ebuen Air Base in Cebu, and Lumbia Air Base in Cagayan de Oro City. Alan Manansala, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
A Senate panel in the Senate tasked to tackle the proposed measures seeking to legislate the country's maritime zones begin its inquiry today, with several maritime experts weighing in on its implication in the country's maritime claims. This report will tell us why. The road won't be easy for lawmakers in legislating the maritime zones of the country. This was the sentiment of Senator Francis Tolentino as the Special Committee on Philippine Maritime and Admiralty Zones launched its first hearing on proposed maritime zones law.
The vast and untapped energy resources in the West Philippine Sea remain idle, with direct-to-bank alone estimated to have 165 million barrels of oil. How can Filipinos properly enjoy the bounties of the ocean and manage the same kung wala tayong maritime zones?
Tolentino says the law can be the basis for the new standard map of the country in response to China's 10-line map showing its sweeping claims in the South China Sea. Asia maritime expert Gregory Poling says the Philippines' claims are already well fortified under the international law and the 2016 arbitral ruling, and that a domestic law would only provide clarity on the issue. He also notes that with the increasing aggression of China, the Philippines and other claimant countries in the South China Sea should make it perfectly clear that their claims stand on international law.
It doesn't change the nature of Philippine claims. The Philippines is entitled to these claims. They are immutable, just as they are for every other nation under the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea.
But for attorney Neil Silva of the University of the Philippines Institute for Maritime Affairs and Law of the Sea, it is high time for the country to enact its own maritime zones law. Silva notes that the Philippines need to harmonize its domestic laws with that of the international community in a bid to garner further international support.
Kailangan natin ayusin ang ating boundary para alam natin kung ano ang kailangan nating ipagtanggol. Kasi kung hindi natin alam ang boundary at hindi natin alam ang batas within that boundary, ano ang ipagtatanggol natin?
As a result of the initial inquiry, Tolentino says a separate bill is being eyed for the identification of the country's archipelagic sea lanes to be consulted with the International Maritime Organization. Jorlene Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God. The price of siling labuyo or hot pepper has increased in some markets in Quezon City due to the limited available supply. The previous price of 400 pesos per kilogram can now be bought for 500 to 800 pesos per kilogram. In Balintawak Market, it can be purchased for 500 pesos per kilogram, which used to be 400 pesos per kilogram. In Mega Q Mart, it has increased by 100 to 200 pesos per kilogram, now selling for 600 to 700 pesos per kilogram, up from the previous 500 pesos per kilogram. Meanwhile, in Muñoz Market, it is now priced at 600 pesos per kilogram, previously 500 pesos per kilogram. According to some vendors, the high prices of chili are expected to last for 2 weeks due to the limited supply available, and it is possible that it will further increase in the coming days. In some eateries in Quezon City, they are now rationing the amount of chili they put in their condiments. Mark Kent Balingata is one of those who are now being frugal in putting chili in the free condiments for customers at their eatery in Quezon City. He mentioned that they are now dividing it to save on the significantly higher prices of chili in the markets.
Binawasan po kasi mahal po yung sili.
Some local governments in Metro Manila provided additional cash assistance to rice retailers, in addition to the 15,000 peso aid from the Department of Social Welfare and Development, or DSWD. According to Marikina City Mayor Marcelino Teodoro, rice retailers will receive an additional 5,000 pesos. This includes those who will sell rice both inside and outside public markets, as well as those who run sari-sari stores. However, the mayor clarified that they are also subjecting the retailers to scrutiny to prevent any opportunistic individuals from taking advantage of the assistance.
May verification dapat gawin at meron dapat post-validation na gawin. Dahil meron ako narinig, pumipila nga nang hindi naman sila retailer. Kaya ginagawa natin, nire-require natin sila ng business permit o kung walang business permit, kahit mayor's permit.
Meanwhile, in San Juan City, 48 rice retailers were beneficiaries of the city's program and will receive 1 month's free rent for their stalls.
At hiwalay po dyan, meron naman po silang 5,000 pesos mula po sa local government ng San Juan. At para po sa mga retailers natin na dito mismo sa palengke nagtitinda, tayo po ay nakipag-ugnayan sa private management ng palengke kung saan nabigyan po natin sila ng 1 month free rent para po sa buwan ng Setyembre.
The DSWD announced that there are now more than 2,000 beneficiaries in the country.
And in other news, global news, a closed-door meeting with the United States lawmakers and CEOs of some of the top tech companies, including Tesla, Meta, Microsoft, and others, gathered in Washington on Wednesday to discuss the regulation of the rapidly growing field of artificial intelligence. Jane Robles details why.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer organized a private meeting on Capitol Hill on Wednesday, September 13, to discuss legislation related to artificial intelligence, or AI. Lawmakers find ways to mitigate the potential risk of this emerging technology that has gained investment and consumer interest following the release of OpenAI's ChatGPT chatbox. More than 60 senators and almost 24 tech executives, advocates, and skeptics joined the forum, including Elon Musk, the CEO of Tesla, Mark Zuckerberg of Meta, Sundar Pichai of Alphabet, and others. During the discussion, an independent agency was proposed to oversee specific aspects of technology, while exploring ways for companies to increase transparency and maintain the U.S. competitive edge against other nations, particularly China. According to Elon Musk, having a referee or a regulator is crucial to ensure companies take actions that are safe and beneficial for the general public. Schumer also highlighted the importance of regulation in regards to deep fakes ahead of the 2024 U.S. general election. Several companies, including Adobe, IBM, NVIDIA, and 5 others, signed President Joe Biden's voluntary AI commitment on Tuesday to prevent AI misuse by watermarking AI-generated content. Google, OpenAI, and Microsoft have already pledged their support for this initiative since July. Additionally, the White House is also working on an executive order related to AI. Jane Robles, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The city of Derna in Libya is grappling with a catastrophic flood that has left thousands dead and countless missing. The official death toll, according to Lieutenant Tariq Al-Karaz of the Interior Ministry, reported 3,840 deaths, including 400 foreigners, mainly from Sudan and Egypt. Derna Mayor Abdul Menam Al-Gaiti estimated that the death toll could reach 18,000 to 20,000 based on the extent of the devastation across the city's districts. Many families found themselves stranded as roads were blocked or washed away. International rescue teams from Egypt, Tunisia, the UAE, Turkey, and Qatar have arrived to assist in the recovery efforts. The Libyan community, both locally and nationally, has rallied to provide support with donations and supplies and assistance pouring in. However, criticism has arisen regarding the handling of the disaster, with some residents claiming they were not adequately informed about the need to evacuate. But Mayor Al-Gaiti defended the local authorities, stating that precautions were taken and residents were informed ahead of the flooding. And those are the reasons behind the news in other parts of the globe. I am Joselito Liquido, reporting live from Malaysia.
Wishers will witness another heartfelt story as Wish 1075 produces a new series of Wish Date concert come October. Gladys Tuabi will tell us why.
I know that my living does not make any sense. Mauunawaan ko kung magalit ka dahil dito. I wish there's a better way. Sana hindi ko na kinailangan pang umalis.
Many couldn't help but shed tears and get carried away by the story of how the love story of Annabelle and Rolly unfolded in the short film Wish Date Solstice. And after we've been moved to tears, although many of us still can't get over this story. Another series of Wish Date is what wishers will look forward to this October. A story that will impart lessons and surely resonate in the hearts of the viewers. Wish Date Memoir, brought to you by Wish 1075 and KDR Music House. Meanwhile, the featured actors share their experiences at the first day of taping.
Kasi yung yung story naman is very, kumbaga madaling ma-connect sa tao. Ako masaya kasi nga, yung iba sa kanila first time ko lang makakasama din sa work. Pero yun naman, syempre, lagi naman, very professional naman talaga. Ang bilis nga lang ng mga eksena namin, usually talaga iba't ibang shots lang. Pero yun nga, masaya, magaan katrabaho. Working with Wish, syempre always a pleasure naman. Kahit naman saan mapunta talaga pagka Wish naman, syempre hanggat kaya, no, awat tulong.
I'm very thankful kay Direk Arnold Sanchez kasi tinulungan niya kami and he guided us sa lahat ng process. I'm really happy kasi sobrang gaan nila makatrabaho and I'm really grateful for the opportunity.
Aside from Devon Seron and Good Morning Kuya host and Anak TV ambassador Joshua Junicio, this will be top billed by the award-winning actress Alice Dixon and Luella de Cordova, together with the promising star Shira Diaz. And of course, the Wish Date short film wouldn't be complete without live performances by well-known OPM artists. Let's So stay tuned to find out how the story unfolds and what songs Wish 107.5 has prepared for Wish Date Memoir.
Yung mga nakalipas na mga wish dates, medyo talagang malulungkot no? Pero asahan na nila talaga pag wish date talagang iiyak sila. Ayan mga kasambahay, iniimbitahan ko po kayo manood ng Wish Date Memoirs this October 1.
Marami po silang aabangan dito. Sana panoorin niyo po, October 1 na po yan, Memoirs.
Gladys Tanabi, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Our kasambahay, as the world faces these trying times amid the various challenges and uncertainties, we are inviting everyone to join the global prayer for humanity.
Good day. I'm Brother Eli Soriano of the members of the Church of God International. I want to invite you to join us in a minute of prayer every day to pray for humanity and the whole world as we go through these perilous times. While safety measures like washing of hands and strengthening of our immune systems may help us through this horrible predicament, there is still no precaution or cure more powerful than God's mighty intervention. And we need His intervention now more than ever. It doesn't matter what religion you are in or what denomination you belong. This is an invitation for all the people around the world who cares for the future of their family, friends, loved ones, and humanity as a whole. Everybody is welcome to pray with us. For more details, you can check out the description box below. Thank you very much, and I hope to hear from you soon. May God bless you.
And before we close, we will leave you with a word, giving glory to God. From the book of Proverbs, chapter 22, verse 2, it says, "The rich and poor meet together. The Lord is the maker of them all." And those are the reasons behind the news, September 14, 2023. Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold, because we need to know. We will always ask why. I am Hardin Delgado. We serve the people. We give glory to God.